Hey guys, I'm Lloyd, the singer, songwriter, guitarist, bass player, drum programmer, manager, producer for the band currently known as Lloyd. Thank you for visiting my channel. I really appreciate it. I got a big announcement. That's why we're doing the video today. The band's changing names. Um, and I'm sure you're asking yourself, why? Why are you changing names? Well, turns out I didn't do my homework very well. There's another band called Lloyd. They're down in the Houston area. And they sent me a nasty email last week accusing me of stealing their name and their logo. And they don't want to be associated with me because supposedly I'm creating AI music, which I'm not. Um, so I was totally unaware they existed, which is not surprising. They haven't done anything in 13 whole years. Um, so didn't even know about them. And as far as I can tell, nobody in their band is named Lloyd. So I guess they just thought it was funny or a cute play on words. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Um, I came up with it. I chose the name Metalloid because back in the 1980s, when I was in college, I was a heavy metal DJ from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. I was the host of Time to Rage Revisited with Metalloid. And that stuck. It was fun. I used that name. It made sense. It was a nice play on my own name. Thought that was kind of funny. But then I got out of college and, life moved on. I did actually play guitar in college. I had a couple of guitars and an amp stack and all that good stuff. And then life happened. I got out of college, got married, and really didn't have any money. So all of it got sold. That's neither here nor there. But so I put away those silly I'm a heavy metal rock star kind of guy, which I never really was. Still am not. But I put all that stuff aside 35 years ago, I guess it's been, and haven't picked up a guitar since. For those of you who know me from my podcast, Armed Lutheran Radio, which you can see the stuff in the background up here. This is the studio for Armed Lutheran Radio. It's also where I record all my music. But when I started Armed Lutheran Radio in 2016, the soundtrack has been from day one heavy metal. I've been a metalhead since high school, um, and I licensed somebody else's music, for 6 years. And then during COVID, I got this crazy wild hair to go out and get a guitar. And I'm not going to show you it because I tried to do modifications on it. It looks horrible. It is a full on lesson in what not to do, or how to overestimate your own abilities with woodworking tools. But anyway, so I started, plucking away and just as a relaxing kind of thing. And then I decided, hey, I could probably record some of these, stingers and opening, intro music and the outro music and the segues and stuff. So I created some of my own music. And then that project sort of took on a mind of its own. And I started recording full songs and then I started releasing them on streaming services, and the name went along for the ride. In fact, if you'll notice, for at least the last two, maybe 3 years, in the show notes of all of my episodes, if you go to armedlutheran.us, in the show notes of every episode, it says at the bottom, music by the artist formerly known as Metalloid. So as I said, it kind of got out of hand and took on a life of its own. And I just started releasing music and kept releasing them under that name without doing any research. And I should have checked to see if somebody else was using the name. It never occurred to me that anyone would use Metalloid with it spelled like my name, but there you have it. So um, it turns out 3 years later, after starting all of this journey of picking up the guitar again, um, this guy decides that he's going to get the old band back together and start releasing stuff 13 years after his last release, and he sends me this ugly email. So he it turns out, and I did some looking, turns out that his old music is being confused with mine, and two are mixed together on some streaming services. He doesn't want to be confused with my music, which apparently he took some exception to, either because he thinks I'm not actually making music, or he doesn't want to be associated with Christian metal. So we're going to change the name. Is the bottom line. Um, I just decided. I mean, he suggested, and some other people have suggested, just put a hyphen in the name, so make it Meta Lloyd. That sounds a little bit like the metaverse, or Meta, the Mark Zuckerberg stuff, um, the new Facebook stuff. And I could make it Meta Lloyd and change the Y to an I. Um, but that still introduces some confusion. So if you hear somebody say Metalloid and you go searching and you type it in one way, you find his stuff or my stuff, or vice versa. So it just seems to me the simpler, well, it's not simpler. It seems to me the better solution to simply change the name completely. So the two are not at all confused. Metalloid is not a particularly Christian sounding band name. So there's another positive to changing the name to something better, something different. I have a poll running, and it's been running for a little over a week on my Facebook group at the Fans of Armed Lutheran Radio. Um, and So we'll be changing names based on the suggestions there. Um, it's not going to be easy. And I hope the guy really appreciates what a pain in the butt this is going to be. Um, the top suggestions that I think, one of these three, I think, is what I'm going to go with. There's a fourth that's a close runner up, but I've done some sort of preliminary playing around with logos, and I'll show you some of the sort of rough drafts that I've put together that I've sent off to an artist to get some concepts put together. But one is Anfechtung, which is a German word that has garnered the most support and interest. It is a word that Martin Luther used to describe it means struggle. It was used to describe the struggle that he went through and that sinners go through as we struggle with sin. Um, then, of course, there's Mighty Fortress, which is, you just can't get any more Lutheran than that. Um, Worms to Wartburg is pretty cool. Someone suggested Diet of Worms, which I think is awesome, but there is a band that has used that in the past, and I don't want to get confused with that and go through all this again. For those who don't know, who are not Lutheran and don't know what this all means and don't understand why Worms and Wartburg are funny or interesting, or how they relate to Christianity. The Diet of Worms was a council that was called by the Holy Roman Emperor in the city of Worms in Germany, which was to discuss um, discuss this new pain in the butt named Martin Luther, who had written some things that the church at the time didn't like, things about works righteousness and the sale of indulgences, for example, and other scandalous things that were going on in the church at the time, and some of which are still going on today. And so they assembled this council in the city of Worms, and they demanded that Luther recant his writings, and he famously refused to do it. With that, not sure whether he actually said this, but it is widely accepted in circles that he said something to the effect of, um, here I stand, I can do no other, so help me God, something to that effect. And So again, and where Wartburg comes in is that after this, after he refused to recant, he was um, one of his supporters had him staged his kidnapping and then whisked him away to hide him in the Wartburg Castle, so that the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, good Christians that they were, didn't round him up and kill him. So Worms to Wartburg sounds like a cool name. I kind of like that. Um, so one of the other names that I really like is called is Reformer, which makes sense. Um, and since Martin Luther was the reformer, the guy who kicked off the Protestant Reformation, who wanted the church not to, he didn't want to create a split in the church. He didn't want to create a new church or tear the church down or throw out church tradition. What he wanted to do was reform the church to correct its errors. And of course, they didn't want to hear all that because that cut into the money they were making and their power and their own sin. So they would prefer to have him burned at the stake instead. And here we are today. So reformer sounds cool, and I really like some of the logo concepts that I've come up with initially. But so without going into any more theology and church history, which is not the reason for this video, I have some artist concepts. I'll show you some of the things that I've thrown together. You'll see them throughout this video, and I've sent those off to a new or to an artist to come up with some concepts. And I think I should have those back probably within a week, and I'll have a decision, and then we'll announce the new name. And then at that point, I'll submit the name and the new logo and the changes for all of the album artwork to the streaming services. That'll begin. According to DistroKid, it could take a week to 2 weeks for all of that to sort of filter into all of the online stores. So, and at that point, I'll start working on the Facebook group and the web page, and here on YouTube as well, which is going to be the biggest pain because I'm going to have to re-edit all of my videos to include the new artwork. Still, it's going to be worth it in the end. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. I hope it will. It will. It'll be good. So thank you to all of you who commented on the poll on Facebook. It's still available as of this recording, which is June 5th, 2024. So if you would like to participate in that poll and make some suggestions or vote for your favorite of the suggestions that are listed in that poll, I welcome that as well. There is a link. There'll be a link in the description below so that you can find it. If you are a Facebook member, if you have a Facebook account, it's on my Fans of Armed Lutheran Facebook group. So you can just click on the link and go and make your suggestions. I really would appreciate hearing your thoughts. And again, I'll be back here in a week or two to announce the new. There won't be any new music released, obviously, in the next 3 weeks or so. But there will be an announcement probably in about a week, and then more coming after that. So stay tuned. And yeah, that's what's going on here. So blessings to all of you. Thank you for watching, and rock on.